This story begins with an HOA Karen trying to frighten my kids using a 911 call and ends with her name going into an official police report. Before we jump in, tell me which country you're watching from. And if you enjoy HOA chaos and real neighborhood drama, like the video, subscribe for more stories, and hit that hype button because this one gets serious fast. Our neighborhood liked to advertise itself as family-friendly. Tree-lined streets, playgrounds in every corner, and rules posted everywhere claiming safety was the top priority. On paper, it sounded perfect for raising kids. In reality, safety often took a back seat to control, especially when one person decided she was the authority on everyone else's life. Karen lived 2 houses down from us. She wasn't an HOA officer in any official capacity, but she acted like one. She watched everything. She timed how long garage doors stayed open. She stared at kids riding bikes as if they were breaking laws instead of enjoying childhood. Parents whispered about her, but no one confronted her directly. Most people hoped she would focus on someone else. Our kids were normal kids. They played outside after school, rode scooters, and laughed loudly on weekends. They stayed on the sidewalk, followed the posted rules, and came inside before sunset. There had never been a complaint against them, until Karen decided there should be one. It started small. She stared from her porch whenever the kids played. She shook her head dramatically if a ball bounced near her lawn. She complained to neighbors about noise, even though it was well within daytime hours. We brushed it off, assuming she would eventually get tired. She didn't. One afternoon, the kids were playing chalk games on the sidewalk in front of our house. No damage, no noise beyond laughter, no rule violations. Karen walked past, stopped, and watched them with visible irritation. Something about that scene seemed to push her over the edge. Instead of speaking to us or contacting the HOA, she chose fear. She called 911. She reported unsupervised kids causing a disturbance and claimed they were creating a dangerous situation in the neighborhood. She exaggerated their behavior, framing innocent play as something threatening enough to require police intervention. Her goal wasn't safety, it was intimidation. Inside the house, I didn't know what was happening until flashing lights appeared at the end of the street. The kids froze. They had never seen police cars pull up because of them. Their laughter stopped instantly. Confusion replaced excitement. They looked to the house, unsure if they were in trouble. That moment alone caused more harm than Karen ever considered. The officers arrived calmly, observing the scene carefully. They didn't rush, they didn't raise voices. They saw chalk drawings on concrete, scooters lying neatly nearby, and children standing nervously where they had been playing moments before. Everything was quiet. The officers assessed the situation with professionalism and clarity. They checked surroundings, confirmed there was no danger, and noted that the children were near their own home. There was no emergency, no risk, no reason for fear. The kids were reassured quickly. The officers made sure they felt safe, explaining through calm actions that they had done nothing wrong. The tension eased, but the impact of seeing police cars because of playtime lingered. Karen watched from her driveway, expecting validation. She didn't get it. The officers approached her next. They reviewed the call details and compared them to reality. The mismatch was obvious. What she reported did not align with what they observed. The officers documented the incident thoroughly, noting the lack of any legitimate concern. This wasn't treated as a misunderstanding. It was treated as a misuse of emergency services involving minors. That distinction mattered. The officers explained through firm but controlled actions that calling 911 to scare children was unacceptable. They emphasized that emergency lines were not tools for personal grievances or HOA enforcement. When children are involved, the consequences escalate quickly. They filed a report. Karen's name went into official records tied to a false emergency call involving kids. That single action changed everything. The HOA was notified shortly after. The report outlined the incident clearly, including the unnecessary involvement of law enforcement and the emotional distress caused. The board could no longer dismiss Karen's behavior as overzealous. This crossed into liability. An emergency HOA meeting was scheduled. Parents showed up in numbers never seen before. The mood wasn't angry, it was protective. One by one, families shared experiences. Kids questioned by Karen, threats to call police over chalk, bikes, or laughter. Parents admitted that they had altered their routines to avoid confrontation. The pattern was undeniable. The board reviewed the police report carefully. They acknowledged that Karen had acted alone, without authority and outside any HOA guideline. More importantly, they recognized the legal and ethical implications of using law enforcement to intimidate children. Action followed. Karen was formally warned by the HOA and barred from any form of enforcement or monitoring. She was instructed not to contact law enforcement regarding neighborhood issues unless there was a real emergency. Any future incidents would be escalated directly to authorities without HOA protection. The neighborhood changed almost immediately. Karen stopped appearing outside. Her constant watch vanished. The kids returned to playing freely, though a little more cautiously at first. Parents stayed nearby, not out of fear of rules, but out of instinct to protect. The police report remained on record. That detail mattered more than anything else. Karen couldn't rewrite it. She couldn't downplay it. It existed as documentation of her behavior, and she knew it. Weeks later, the atmosphere softened. Laughter returned. Chalk drawings reappeared. Bikes filled the sidewalks again. Parents talked openly, no longer whispering about who might be watching. Karen stayed inside. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. She tried to scare kids into silence and instead exposed herself to consequences that followed her far beyond the HOA. In the end, the kids were protected, the truth was documented, and the person who tried to instill fear learned what actuality looks like. If you enjoyed this story, do like, subscribe for more, and hit that hype button so this video keeps climbing. And don't forget to tell me which country you're watching from. More HOA stories are coming.